Hello again guys and welcome to another episode of Optics Trade Debates. My name is Tadej.
My name is Theodore. Hello.
And today we'll be discussing the accessory which is connected to the clip-on devices, mainly from Pulsar and Dela and so on.
Yeah.
This is the converter we have here. This one is from manufacturer Rusan. We already know this. Basically, we already know this device. So
yes,
this converter.
Right?
This is very familiar in our parts. But now we have a new one and a more sophisticated and perhaps a bit more
upgraded
version from manufacturer Smartclip, which goes by the name, as we can see, PCM. This one is 52 converter. Theodore here will tell us basically how things started to evolve in this direction and in the continuation, basically what this converter does, what is its function.
Well, it's really, I have to go a little bit back in history. A couple of years ago, maybe already a decade ago, a new trend started that people were starting to use clip-on devices on their normal rifle scopes to use them at night and in low light situations. And the first, I would say, widely available devices of this category were the Dedal night vision clip-on devices. And they featured 52mm thread at the end. So there was a lot of producers which started to produce the adapters which connected this 52mm thread with the rifle scope. So they basically had the opposite thread of 52mm on one side, and on the other side they were meant to go on the rifle scope. And then a couple of years ago, a lot later, behind the Dedal, Pulsar made their first digital clip-on, the DFA 75 and DN 55. Very similar devices, only the monocolars which you got as an accessory with them were different. The device itself was the same. And those devices featured this type of bayonet. Then they came out with core clip-on thermal devices with this bayonet, and normally the DFA 75 and DN 55 and the cores, there was a huge array of different devices, all featuring this same bayonet with two pins that connect the adapter for the scope with the device. Pulsar was also producing their own original adapters, but which had they have like plastic inlays inside of them, and they are preferred to stay on the scope all time. And this was a solution which not many people liked, because to have this on the scope at all time, it looked a little bit bulky. So there were a couple of producers which started to produce converters which convert this bayonet to the normal thread of Dedal. Because when you convert this thread, when you convert this bayonet to the thread of Dedal, then you can put on all different types of these adapters. There were also producers like Smartclip which did this without the converter. They did the adapters which go directly on this bayonet and go on the other side directly on the scope. So this were really popular because they are just, I would say, a little bit less clumsy, nicely made, they're aesthetically pleasing and so on. But the DFA 75, the DN 55, the core, all the core devices, what some people noticed with use, with time, was that if you're shooting with really strong calibers, some wear happen on these two pins. So on the bayonet, where the pins connect to the bayonet, you get some wear. And what happens in the next, it doesn't matter if you're using the version with this converter, so that the converter goes first on the bayonet, and then on the converter you put the adapter, either this way, or with a direct adapters. In both cases, what happened was that if you used a really strong caliber, play started to happen. So you get a little bit more of space inside of this bayonet here, where the pins are. This is a new unit. Unfortunately, we don't have any used one which was shot I don't know, 1000 times on some 300 Winchester Magnum or something like that strong. So there is no use here, but on older, especially on DFA 75, which are a little bit heavier, they were shot really many times on really powerful calibers. You see the wear, and then you get the play with the adapter. It doesn't really affect the accuracy of the device itself, but it's not nice because everything moves a little bit, and you see that it's not so compact and so stable. So, and there was no way of getting around this. The one version was that Rusan started to produce a spring inside of their adapters, which always aligned the devices in the same plane. The same like with the original adapter, also has a spring inside, but still you could still see, even though the spring always aligned the device, that if you touch the device, if you try it, you see that there is some play.
Yes.
So people at Smartclip came to the idea, how would we convert this this bayonet to the thread, which is really common because all the adapters have this thread. I would say this is the most common thread among all. How to convert this so that it will always be completely fixed and there is no wear and no play can happen again. So they came out with this PCM 52 converter, which has two different parts inside, which clamp together the bayonet. So you put this on, it already goes really stiff. So now in this position it works the same like with Rusan converter. It is completely the same, but because you have screws here, you have to push this towards the device so there is no air anywhere, and then you're able to fix completely with these screws like this, and now this converter is completely fixed. No matter, even if you use 50 BMG, there will be no wear inside and you will get no play. So now you have a solution which is completely fixed. I have to say that probably they noticed this problem. It's not really a problem, but this unwanted situation, because it's more an aesthetical problem than anything else, but still it's not nice to have a device like this and have some play inside, left to right and so on when you're shooting. So I think that they noticed this problem also with Pulsar, because their new devices, the forward, they have a different bayonet with 4 pins, which eliminate the play, because usually the wear happened like this, that that if you look like this, that the adapter had the play in this direction. So it happened like this usually, even when it was completely close and so on. Like this.
Of course, it's only the matter of time if you shoot a lot when this.
If you have a really powerful caliber, this
If
happens.
you're really powerful.
So I would say this is this solution works only on core series and on the DFA 75 series, but if you're already using for years your device, and if you see some wear on the bayonet, this converter solves the problem entirely, because when you really these two I would say these small, they're not pins, but these small parts, they really squeeze together this bayonet, and then no movement is possible anymore.
Well, in Europe I know, and probably everyone who's watching this video, that these F devices are very popular.
Yeah, normally.
Do you have any hunch if Smartclip will start to produce the same types of converters for F devices?
They're already developing it, yeah. Even though I think that here the problem will not be the same, because of 4 pins, there is, even if there is use, there will not be a possibility that play would happen. Even if there would be some wear on some parts, I think the adapters will still be really stable. I think that the problem here was that they were connecting the bayonet only in one plane, only on two points instead of 4 or 3 at these points, and this converter definitely solves this problem. It is true with Smartclip they are already developing a similar converter for the F155, even though I think it will not be as necessary and as popular as on these devices.
That's true, yes. But also it's, we can say, a very nice addition if you have, for example, you have 4 pins here which are more fixed than 2 pins on this one, and if you have a converter like this which have 4 of these notches which are very fixed, I think this is a bonus of its own.
I have seen on DFA 75, I have seen a couple of users which one of them even used the 9.3 by 62, and he shot a couple of hundreds of shots with it. And he was super pleased with the device, but it's normal when you have a connection between 2 parts, it gets loose with time. Every connection gets loose with time. So this converter definitely solves this problem well. And I would say this is if you have an old DFA where you can see the wear on the bayonet, then this converter definitely solves that problem. And the same goes for the core, even though the cores are not on the market for such a long time as the DFAs. So with core, I would say this will happen probably in a couple of years to users. In both cases, with this you get a completely fixed connection between this bayonet and the converter to the thread. With the thread, of course, when you have the connection between the adapter and the thread, there will be no play there. No play will happen like this. When you have this connection, it's like this. There will be no play here, and when you eliminate the play between the converter and the bayonet, then you have a completely fixed solution.
Also, what I find very useful and very good, we can say, is that these adapters, these 2 converters, are basically the same in size and the weight. So there is really not much of deviations or disadvantages in terms of physical appearance.
No, in physical appearance it's almost completely the same, even though the function of this one is that you're able to put any size of the adapter on it, so that you can combine these devices with a high quality adapters, even if you have some unusual objective diameter of your scope. Even if you have something like, I don't know, 60 millimeter instead of 62, you can still get a 6, or this one is 50 millimeters. 50 millimeters is quite uncommon, but if you have a scope which has an external diameter of 50 millimeters, then you can have this adapter, and with this converter you're able to pair these devices together. But with time, if you have a really strong caliber, the wear will still happen on these 2 pins, while with the converter or Smartclip there will be no wear, and the connection will be completely fixed.
And another question for our customers: is this item already available on the market, or
yeah, it is.
Approximately,
it is.
It's already
available on our webpage. It's a little bit more expensive than others. I think it's going to be below 100 euros. The price is below 100 euros, but it's so fresh that I have to check the price. I have to be honest. It's completely new.
Okay, I think we covered most of the important features about this very new and unique accessory from Smartclip. However, if you still have any additional questions, if you would like to ask something a bit more in deep about this certain topic, feel free to write us an email, subscribe to our channel, or leave a comment below. Take care, next time.
Thank you.